next day after we got married, when we woke up and when we finally called each other my wife, then she called me her husband, iba yung kilig. I related to him more as my younger self, yung immature na bata, not teenager or anything, even before, because I was a really naughty kid. Mga kapuso nga nagkikitaya na, kung hain man kamo mapa Amerika, Singapore, Australia, Europe, Amerika, maupay nga aga udto kulop gabi hay yung atanan.
Our guest for today is Kapuso actor Tom Rodriguez from the series The World Between Us. He will talk about life after getting married, growing up in the US, and his future goals.
How are you? And congratulations!
It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, there was part of me that was anticipating kung meron bang magiging changes. Pero funnily enough, wala eh. And I guess I can attribute that to the 7.5 years that Carla and I have shared together. And for a bulk of those years, I've already felt like we were married together. Yung difference lang na masabi ko, and I've said this to other people before, na every time I would say that she was my wife or asawa ko, even to her, kahit panglambing lang, she would always correct me na hindi pa, girlfriend pa lang. And this time around, I think literally the next day after we got married, when we woke up, and when we finally called each other my wife, then she called me her husband, iba yung kilig. Nandun yung nagbablush kami, pareho kaming kinikilig sa isa't isa na finally, wow, is this real? We can finally say it na walang protesta na, walang totoo na.
Kumbaga official na.
So andun yung kilig with the label, pero yung how we are together, wala. It's been a smooth transition.
Pero how are you nung sa preparations pa lang? Hands-on ka ba or did you let Carla do all the preparations?
Well, this is her deal pretty much. Like I mean, as with most grooms, like we do this for them. Sabi ko nga, my only requirement is ako yung katabi niya doon. But of course, I tried as much as I could, as much as possible, to be able to lend support, lend help. As late as 3 weeks before our wedding, all of our initial preparations had to change completely kasi bigla nagbago lahat. We were both still locked in and bigla ngayon bawal na yung wedding kung saan kami ikakasal. There was the big change na wait, lahat ng ginawa nating prep not applicable anymore. Now we have to so in a way, parang instead of having a year to plan this, we had 3 weeks because we had to like replan everything in the last minute.
Saan naman si Carla noon? Mom, hindi ba siya nag-bridezilla?
Yun nga yung sinasabi ko na people told me before to be wary daw because lahat ng brides nagiging bridezilla. And I didn't believe them. Kasi sabi ko yung partner ko na yun, napaka-anghel, sobrang calm, mabait. Pero kahit pa paano, meron pa rin nagkaroon ng konti. So it is true. Pero to her credit, grabe, I really have to give it to her. It's hard enough. I know it's hard enough to plan a wedding conventionally. It's even tougher during a pandemic.
May mga ibang naging problem ba?
Nearing the date, plenty. Kasi we were supposed to get married sa Madre de Dios and reception namin was at the Finitris in Tagaytay. Then all of a sudden, Tagaytay, bawal na yung weddings. Kaya looking for a last-minute replacement really was a Hail Mary play. Yeah, it was really like, I think it was some sort of divine intervention or something like that. Now we were able to find the perfect place.
Did you have to cut down on guests? Because I'm sure initially,
we
mas
did.
marami yun.
Every time, like the capacity that was allowed would always fluctuate and change. Okay, ngayon pwede ng 50%. Ay, 30% uli. Okay, pwedeng 50%. Ay, baka bawal na dito. Sige, let's look for other alternatives. Baka sa Baguio, maybe Manila. Manila, 10% lang allowed. So there were all of these variables na nakakasakit sa ulo.
Sabi nila kapag ganon, blurred lahat. Pero sa iba, how was the day itself? Like, ano yung mga parang special moments doon na kumbaga parang sa'yo nag-stand out?
I will say, I think there's truth to that na things blur out. Pero not memories or events. For me, it's the surroundings blurred out. I was really just focused on her and being next to her and being with her. in that moment. Pero yung mga nag-stand out sa akin ito nga I said initially na this is her deal, this is her shebang, this is her her event. That's how I perceived it. Because it's a wedding. I mean, like, women dream of this from their childhood. Carla's not being any different. Pero nagulat ako na she made efforts to make this about me. Doon ako na touch how she included elements with my dad's hat right there next to my mom during the ceremony, na nagulat ako. Our first dance, nakahanap siya ng video na di ko alam may ganung video pala na nag-exist. A video of my dad singing one of his favorite karaoke songs. Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Yun yung nagpa-play, him singing while we were dancing. And of course, our vows. That's what I was most nervous for. Everything else, kahit may mahulog na chandelier man wala akong pakialam. Basta andyan kami, may kasal kami, at may tawid ko yung vows ko sa kanya na hindi ako mag-uutal-utal. So, yun yung mga talaga, parang priorities and focus ko for that day. And that sana she would be happy and stress-free for that day. And kita ko naman kung gaano siya kaganda Parang di naman siya tinablan ng stress.
Nag-glow talaga, oo. Ang pictures niyo talagang, talagang ang ganda. Ang ganda sobra. And you can really feel yung glow, yung happiness ninyo. And we wish you talagang all the best and congratulations. May adjustment ba?
Honestly, hindi. Kasi, I mean, we've known each other. Lalo na itong pandemic, I said nga na I guess it was God's way of really gifting us with the extremes para lang we know what we're getting into. Kasi during the start of the pandemic, nagkaroon talaga ng heavy quarantine when everyone was quarantined. Carla and I were quarantined together na kaming dalawa lang. So for like, let's say 5 months, kaming dalawa lang, we really had to learn how to delegate tasks and really live with each other. Na walang external help. Na just relying solely on each other. Then right after that, we both were locked in and we're away for months. Then 5 months din kaming hindi nagkita. That was the longest we were apart. So those two extremes we experienced in 1 year.
How did you cope with the whole lockdown scenario?
Yeah, at first, it was tough talaga kasi I was really excited to go back to work. A lot of anxieties. Lalo na ako before, I'm an overthinker, naturally anxious person. Andun siya. I learned to resign myself to him, all my troubles. Same with the wedding, Miss Tony. I told Carla na with all of these scary things happening, na baka hindi na mangyari, maybe we had to consider new dates. Sabi ko, nope. That date is meant for us. It's gonna happen on that day. So true enough, it happened on that day. Ibang venue lang.
During yung mga magkakasama kayo ng early part ng lockdown, nagkakainisan na rin ba kayo? May mga
Meron syempre. Syempre kasi yun nga kasi
you get so used to having a network of people that you can rely on as well, of help. Tas dito, wala, kaming dalawa lang. So, sometimes magkakaroon ng konting misunderstandings, but it wasn't never anything major. But it was something that definitely we knew we needed to work out. And I'm glad that we got to experience those types of things before we entered the big day.
Ano ang secret to have kumbaga long-lasting relationship?
Well, I've said before na parang everyone has their own journey, has their own stories Really, it's important, I believe, na you learn each other's love language. And in another way then, realizing that although attraction may not be a choice, like who you're attracted to is dictated by biology, predominantly. Pero love and commitment definitely is. If you're gonna transition and build it into something, if attraction is that blazing fire.
Right, that spark, di ba? Yung connection.
Parang yung apoy talaga na magalaw, it looks pretty, it takes on a lot of different shapes.
Iba pa rin yung you turn it into a long-lasting burning coal. It's quieter, but it's more sure, it's more dependent, it's longer lasting. Hindi man siya maganon, but it's there and it's something that you can always depend on. And that's something that we want to build for ourselves, for each other. That long-lasting love talaga na we choose each other every day. We'll just try to do our best to really
and yung
choose each other and
yung effort yung dalawa talaga na you're going to make it work, that's
yeah.
Really important. Pero ito Tom may sinabi si Carla, hindi raw ikaw yung namimiss niya. Mas naiyak daw siya nung hindi niya nakita yung mga dogs.
Yeah.
Na yung pinagseseloso, kung hindi ko lang din mahal yung mga aso ko na yun, aso namin na yun, magsiselos na talaga ako ng todo-todo because that's true.
Do you want to start a family agad? Or do you want to take a break first and then, just enjoy each other's company muna?
We've enjoyed each other's company quite enough. Gusto na namin. Personally, I want agad-agad. So,
Little Toms and Little Carlas.
Yes.
Nako. So, dapat maglaylo na muna kayo niyan, I suppose.
yeah, we've asked for a leave of absence. So ngayon, we're just finishing some commitments. But we were supposed to start a show na agad after each kanya-kanyang projects. But we said na baka pwede, muna, just to start a family. Yeah.
Oh, and we will be praying
Sana.
with you, and we are looking forward to seeing the Little Toms and Little Carlas.
Yeah. Sana lahat kamukha ng nanay.
Hindi. Naku, sana makuha nila lahat ang mga dimples nyo.
Oh, wag lang sa amin combine kasi dadami. Di na namin alam kung saan nilalagay yung dimple ng mga anak namin.
Naku, mga pogi at magaganda yan for sure. Pero eto, Tom,
Go.
just to talk about quickly about your childhood. You were born here in the Philippines and then moved to the US, di ba? So,
Yeah, Subic muna, then we migrated to Samar after the whole Mount Pinatubo incident.
Then when I was around like 11 or 12, we migrated to the States in 2001.
So medyo malaki ka na rin no, and kumbaga you've moved to different places. So pagdating sa US, ano ba to? May mga naging challenges ka ba? Like for being like
Initially.
Yeah,
especially since there was a huge culture shock na hindi ako marunong mag-English.
So I had to learn English while I was there. And really parang it was a culture shock type of scenario na wala masyado mga Pinoy doon, and the Filipinos that I did encounter were sort of second or third generation Filipinos na unfortunately sila yung akala ko I would be able to bond with, pero I doon pa ako nagkaroon ng discrimination where a lot of them called me fob fresh off the boat. I was lucky enough na yung mga kaibigan ng ate ko, kaibigan ng mom ko, na mga Filipinos, they embraced us and took us in. I couldn't fight for myself. I would fight for other people. It was easier. It seemed easier for me to advocate for others than for myself. Pag sa akin lang, I can take it like no problem. Pero when I see it happening to other people, yun yung nahihirapan ako before to really stay away from. Especially sa school namin. Kaya I try to befriend all the different cliques as much as possible because I didn't like anyone being left out. So like I would have friends not even discrimination with race, but it could be discriminating them because kuwari geeky, nerdy, ganon, or outcast sila sa group, mag-isa sa table. Tatabihan ko pa rin. So I went with yung mga football buddies ko when I played football, sa computer club ko. So wherever I could sit with, I got along with everyone.
Yung upbringing ninyo, Pinoy pa rin, no? Yung kumbaga yung Filipino values na nadala nyo doon.
Kahit kung nandun na kami.
Make sure na you and your siblings will never forget about, the Filipino values.
Yeah, kasi when we were there, Waray pa rin. Like I said, my youngest brother sibling was 8 years old, and yet he's still fluent in Waray. Yung hindi namin alam Tagalog, since we grew up in Samar. Pero there, Waray English kami. So even until now, that sibling of mine is still fluent in Waray. Because it was something na hindi namin nakalimutan. So we'd always reminisce our time in Samar. We'd always try to replicate food that we enjoyed when we were there. And especially having Pinoy TV there was a really big boon for our family. So seeing my mom watch it all the time, kahit kami out of nostalgia, yung na-miss lang namin yung local commercials.
Tom, batiin mo naman sila ng Waray, yung mga kapuso natin na nakikinig.
Bataw, sige gad. Kay hangatanan nga mga kaburugtuan ko, nga mga kapuso, nga nagkikitaya na. Kung hain man kamo, mapa Amerika, ano ton kanta ni Gary V? Singapore, Australia, Europe, America. So, unta, maupay ka mga tanan nga da. Mabalik lot ako. Maupay nga aga, udto, kulop, gabi, hayo nga tanan.
Ang galing.
Before we continue with our interview, let's have a short break.
Ang mga Kapuso shows mapapanood at mapapakinggan din abroad via GMA Pinoy TV, GMA Live TV, at GMA News TV channels. Para mag-subscribe, visit www.gmapinoytv.com. Follow us at GMA Pinoy TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Viber, and TikTok for the latest updates on Kapuso programs, artists, events, promos, and more. Salamat, Kapuso!
The past 2 years had been the time we spent making, baking, planting, renovating, laughing, adding, and trying. But no matter what life throws at us, there will always be something to lift our spirits and give us sparks of hope. We invite you to tell us your stories with shots and snippets of the things that helped you survive this pandemic. Send your snapshots and stories to PinoyInbox@gmanetwork.com and we'll feature them on our newest inspirational segment, Pockets of Hope, on GMA Pinoy TV.
Welcome back! Let's now talk about Tom's similarity to his character Brian in The World Between Us.
Eto na, pag-usapan natin, yung character mo, yung offbeat character mo like Brian. Meron bang similarity kang nakikita yung ikaw and then si Brian?
I've said this before na for the character of Brian, I related to him more as my younger self. Yung immature na bata, not teenager or anything, even before, because I was a really naughty kid growing up in Samar. So a lot of the qualities that I would see in Brian, na grabe, he's so self-centered, selfish. I was able to relate with that to my really younger self, mga grade 3, grade 4, grade 4 era. Na, kaya nga sabi ko, sana yung magiging anak namin ni Carla hindi magmana sa akin kasi
Part ng process yun.
I wouldn't want to handle a kid like I was.
Ano ang aabangan nila this season sa The World Between Us?
If they were amped up or excited for what happened during the first book, things are that was just the setup to the story. So here is where all of the turmoil or all of the conflicts are really gonna escalate and happen. Kaya mas excited ako para makita nila kasi it's not a linear path eh.
Ano yung feeling nung ngayon, Tom, from the first one? Kasi syempre ngayon, you guys have gelled already. I'm sure naging close na kayo, no? So, was it easier doing this?
Yeah, for me personally, it felt like it was a smooth transition eh. We didn't really feel any different like as soon as we went back.
Kahit
Andun
na
pa rin.
nag-break, no? Kumbaga, kahit nagkaroon kayo
pa rin.
ng-
Parang it still felt like it took maybe like a day.
During our script reading to get back into the groove of things kasi marami sa amin eh, hindi lang ako natakot na how are we gonna jump back into this. Akala ko ako lang, pero when we talk to each other, sila rin pala may mga ganung nararamdaman. But as soon as we did the script reading, okay, andito pala ako ulit. Okay, game.
So you've done Brian, ano pa yung roles na gusto mo pang gawin?
There's one, it's been like a weird dream of mine siguro. When I watched Kinky Boots with my manager when we were in New York for a show, it was that same thing. I guess that's what I look for. Something that would make me uncomfortable because it's not part of my lived experience. So when I was watching it, I know I can't do that yet. Nah, I'm not equipped to do it. But if there's a role that I know is so outside of me and scares me in a way, because I don't know if I'll be able to do it, I think that would be it. So it's something that tuloy in my mind, I'm secretly parang preparing for, that I want to be able to do. Nasabi ko nga sa kanya nun eh.
Alam mo, Tom, you can, and I can see you in that, kumbaga, genre. Yung passion mo, kasi ang diverse ng mga, lahat ng ginagawa mo. Acting, and then you still have yung music mo, and then you do sketches. How do you get to do all of those? Or meron ko bang pinapark? Kumbaga, acting mo na ako ngayon, tapos I'll go back to my sketches, and then...
More of an intuitive sense eh. Here I have my computer for coding. Here's a recording setup, naka-setup dito. Dito naman for art lab. So I would just go, okay, I'll take a break from this so my mind can kind of rest. It's sort of like cleansing my palette. Here, ano naman ako, I'll do some sketches, I'll draw. Okay, here, ano naman, maybe I'll work on some music, I'll compose something.
If you were to level them, ano yun, the acting, the sketching, and the music, how would you rank them?
Ang hirap kasi each one has its own thing about it that I like and I'm scared of. For example, when it comes to my art, to drawing, since I've been drawing since I was a kid, in my mind there's that bias na okay, artist ka, so kung anong gagawin mo, it has to be good. So sometimes when you have that type of thought, it ends up freezing you, na mas nahihirapan ka to draw. Parang that syndrome where you get scared of the blank page. Whereas with music, since I don't consider myself a musician or an art or a singer, whenever I try to attempt to do anything musical, I give myself the freedom to fail. So there are no expectations. So I'm able to just jump into it some more. Whereas with my artwork, I find that there are some blocks when it comes to that, na parang may pressure ako sa sarili ko to perform, since it's something that's been expected of me since I was a kid. So may mga ganong aspects, and yet I still enjoy drawing so much. Just being able to like draw characters that may not exist and try to flesh them out.
Yeah, but when did you discover that you could do all of these things? Like, at a younger, nandito ka pa sa Philippines?
Yung drawing, Philippines pa talaga. Kasi yun yung tinatawag kong racket ko. When I was a kid, I would draw for my friends. So piso-piso, I would draw their favorite characters. Yeah, then I would spend that money to buy either toys or yung mga texts na mga cards that I could copy and
I could
yeah, so dinodrawing ko sila. Tapos yung mga toys na maliliit na mga goma, I would try to draw them as well. So dun ko ginagastos yung mga kinikita ko na piso-piso from drawing Power Rangers, Ghost Fighter, kung anong mga cartoons yung requested.
Mahilig ka na bang kumanta nun, Tom?
Hindi, well, kami mga song hits dati, so my friends would play guitar and we would sing, pero wala talaga. It was bara-bara na singing. It wasn't until I was here na all of a sudden I only knew myself as a person who drew. Yun lang. Tas being in this industry na now, pinapakanta ka, pinapasayaw ka, it was all new to me. And when I realized, hey, these are fun ways of expressing myself as well. Pwede pa pala. So what else have I not been trying? What else have I been scared of or keeping myself from experiencing?
Yung acting naman, ito yung mas ito yung pinakahuli, kumbaga.
It's hard kasi with acting, there's a different, like, it's so visceral. There's a different dimension to it as well that's really addicting. Especially when you have roles where you really feel like you're someone else. Parang whoa, and after a scene, you're like, whoa, ibang tao ako dun. And it's such an adrenaline rush, whether it's in front of the camera or in front of a live audience. There's such a rush to it na you really look for it. Hinahanap mo. Kaya ang hirap talaga to rank them if it's really for me. Kung ako masusunod, even sila.
Tom, what's next for you? Ano ang mga aabangan pa? Ano ang aabangan pa aside from fatherhood?
There have been things that I've been working on, like building an animation studio for myself here in the Philippines that I've been putting together, finding the right people for it, where we're gonna hold it, and I'm excited to say that a bulk of all of that preparation has been worked out na. Realizing my dreams of doing my artwork, my music, and my acting in a more creative space, meaning I have more creative control. So in a more of a curator type of way. So maybe something like behind the scenes naman instead of being in front of the camera. Like those type of things. Realizing my own projects, my own dreams, my own pet projects that I've been visualizing for so long. Be able to do it. So whether it's producing an animation or a live action film, composing or doing an album, producing an album for someone else, composing music for someone else, and when it comes to art, hopefully mounting my own show. So I'm very excited.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I just want to be remembered na whatever it was that I was doing at the time, that I was really immersing myself in that experience. That I wasn't shortchanging it. Now whether it's acting with your peers, whether it's when you're trying to draw, trying to do something, or it's trying to do music, or just being with people that you love, or new acquaintances, that I'm always there, that I'm fully there in that experience with them. And whatever it was, I never tried to impose or stop other people from freely expressing themselves or being who they are as well. Just accepting who they are and just like realizing that we're all in this together, having a human experience.
There's one that I'm working on right now. It's an NFT project, so it's something related to my art. So I'll ask for help and prayers to sana ma-manifest and it happens. It's it's now they have a new thing called NFTs, new non-fungible tokens, where now you can have your digital art part of the blockchain. It's crypto-based na parang certificate of authenticity siya for your digital artwork, and it's a whole
level up na, ibang level up digital
honestly,
art.
Part of me doesn't understand the appeal, but it's a real thing that's happening, and I've been trying to learn kasi grabe some of the amounts that I've been seeing. So people have been telling me to get in on it, and now finally I'm working on my own set of NFTs.
And I'm sure you'll do great, and we wish you all the best. Congrats in advance.
Hey, Miss Tony.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure talking to you and for keeping it real always.
Stronger Together, the GMA Pinoy TV podcast, is an original production of GMA International. This episode is produced by Gerald Vista and edited by Anton Taginod.